success secrets of African American millionaires. Give it up for the one and only Dr. Kimbro.
I know the hour is long, as I tell my business students, let people waste your money, but don't let them waste your time. I'm not going to keep you long. There's not an individual in here right now. If I gave you an hour to go back, talk to your banker, talk to your spouse, your significant other, to find out exactly how much money you have, you can come back in 1 hour and tell me down to the penny how much money is in your possession. There's not an individual seated here today who can tell me how much time you have. You live a normal life, and what is a normal life? 74 to 77 years on earth. You do the calculus, that equates to 29,000 days on earth. Time is not running out, but your life is. There's not an individual seated here today who can tell me how much time you have, and if you're like me, you don't want to know. So it's critically important that we get the information. What have I done? Nothing special. For the past 7 years, I went around this country, and I dared to interview, survey, and hold focus groups with no less than 1,000 black millionaires. When Martin Luther King led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1958, there were only 5 black millionaires in the United States. I interviewed 3 of the 5 and shared their story in my first book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Fast forward the videotape to 2014. You have 5, well now, since Michael Jordan, the Charlotte Hornets, he's number 6. You have 6 black billionaires. I interviewed 3 of the 6 that shared their story in the Wealth Choice, and you have 35,000 black millionaires. Well, Prince George's County, that's nothing to get excited about. 33.4 million African Americans in the United States, and you produce 35,000 black millionaires. That equates to Qatar. What do we know about Qatar? Qatar is the wealthiest country on the face of the earth. There are 30,000 millionaires in Qatar. But you got less than 1 million people who live in Qatar versus the 33.4 million African Americans who live in the United States. So the question is not wealth. When you look at black America, there are 175 countries that belong to the United Nations. In terms of wealth, in terms of capital, in terms of GNP and GDP, black America is the 16th wealthiest country on the face of the earth. So money's not your problem. The problem is what you do with your money. When you look at all the economic indicators that would lead to success, we are either in last place or next to last place. 27% of African Americans have no savings plan at all. 35% of African Americans spend more on a weekly basis than what they bring in. More than 40% of African Americans, and you had a number of bank and financial institutions here today, more than 40% of your race don't even use a bank, a financial institution, for their financial transactions. Now you can continue to go to the post office and get your money orders and pay your bills. But I'm a college professor. I teach at Clark Atlanta University School of Business. I can tell you right now, you can continue to do that, but if you have a child and you hold out hope of seeing that child go to college one day, you can't even get student loans because you haven't established credit. In 1897, your most prolific scholar, W.E.B. Du Bois, wrote a seminal book entitled The Negro in Business. And Du Bois went all up and down the eastern seaboard interviewing successful business owners trying to find the attributes to wealth creation. And he had 2 sentences in that tome, in that book, that says it all. He said, number 1, the man or woman who won't control his or her finances won't control anything else. When he said anything else, he didn't mean financial matters. He was talking about quality of life. And number 2, what did Du Bois say? Nothing positive will ever occur in a community that fails to circulate its dollars. You hear what he said? Nothing positive will ever occur in a community that fails to circulate its dollars. What do we know about the black community? Well, number 1, look at other communities. The average dollar in the Jewish community stays there for 19 days. The average dollar in the Asian community stays there for 24 days. The average dollar in the East Indian community stays there for 45 days, a month and a half. The average dollar in the black community stays there for less than 6 hours. But there is a way out. The title of my book, and I'm not here to hawk books, but I'm here to give you information. It's called The Wealth Choice, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. And it is a choice. There are 50 million different choices that we, living in a free and open society, face on a daily basis. 99.9% of those choices we don't have to address. We can turn our back on them. But there are two choices that you must make day in and day out. Number one, you can accept the circumstances as they are. Or number two, you can take the responsibility to change them. Now, like I said, these 1,000 black millionaires over a 7-year period, they took the latter approach. So who did I interview? Well, you name them, I probably interviewed. I interviewed Bob Johnson, founder of BET. I had a great interview with Steve Harvey. I interviewed Tyler Perry, Damon John of Shark Tank. I had a great interview with Antonio Reid of X Factor, Lisa Price of Carol's daughter. I spent 2 days with Kathy Hughes, one of your black billionaires. Had a great interview with Dave Stewart, another one of your black billionaires. With the focus groups and the surveys that I had, like I said, 1,000 black millionaires. And the subtitle of the book, as we wrap this puppy up, is called The 7 Laws of Wealth. I found 7 best practices that these men and women adhere to, if not on a weekly basis, then certainly on a monthly basis. And the number one is knowledge. Prosperity begins in the mind but ends in the purse. If you don't read, if you don't study, if you don't grow, if you don't develop, if you don't go to the seminars, if you don't go to the conferences, if you don't take in the information, somebody out in the universe will. And the day you meet that other person, you lose. Here I am with Antonio Reid of X Factor, and I have his bio. And I said, Antonio, I'm looking at your bio, and it says you took 8 weeks out of your busy schedule to take an executive management class at Harvard. I said, you and Babyface made more money hand over fist. If you lived 10 different lifetimes, you couldn't spend all the money you earned. What would compel you to take that class? And he says, well, everybody's trying to get in the sports and entertainment business. The bottom line, this is a business. But number two, I learned a long time ago, the moment that you cease to grow and develop, you begin to die. There I am with Bishop T.D. Jakes and his book line study at the Potter's house. And I'm looking at every book on God's green earth you'd ever want to read, study, or examine in your life. And what in the world do we know about Bishop T.D. Jakes? Number one, they told him he would never make it in the ministry. He has a heavy list. If you listen closely enough, you can hear the list. Number two, he's a high school dropout. Yeah, he went back and got his GED, but he never finished high school. Number three, they damn near ran him out of Charleston, West Virginia with only 8 members. But here we are in 2014, Prince George's County. You fast forward the videotape today and look at him now. 191,000 square foot mega facility, 30,000 member, $45 million budget. And there I am in his study, and bam, all of a sudden the bishop comes in. And I said, Bishop, I'm not getting on the plane and flying back to Atlanta until we talk about wealth and prosperity. But number one, they said, your critics said you would never make it in the ministry. He said, well, my critics aren't altogether wrong. The list is still there. But I don't care if I had to spit. I don't care if I had to stutter. I don't care if I had to stammer. I had something to say, and doggone it, I was going to say it. I said, okay, you got an open mic, say it. He said, the keys to wealth creation, easy. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Well, like Kelvin Boston said, show him how he can buy the pond, and no one in his family will ever know struggle. What are the 2 important words in business? Own it.
Yeah.
So number one is knowledge. Number two, you gotta make a conscious decision you won't be poor. At the counter of success, there are no bargains. You must pay the price in advance and in full. But damn it, you got to decide. And that's what these individuals did. I told you, you got 6 black billionaires. You had 10 other individuals. If it weren't for the 07-08 recession, they would have joined billionaire status. One of them, his name was Victor McFarlane. McFarlane Partners, real estate developer out in San Francisco. Last time President Obama was on the West Coast, he had dinner at McFarlane's estate. Guy's worth about $600 million. But here's the key. Born and raised in Middletown, Ohio to a single parent, raised by a single parent in a blue-collar working class community. And he told me that the first 12 years of his life, one-bedroom apartment, and that bedroom apartment was for his mother. There was a couch out in the waiting area. He told me for the first 12 years of his life, he and his older sister slept on that couch. And when he shared that with me, I said, damn, you're gonna have to be tough, man. 12 years sleeping on the couch. He saw where I was going with the conversation, cut me off at the knees and says, Doc, I don't want any sympathy, no empathy. When I look back at it, probably the best 12 years of my life. I said, translate, Victor. He said it was during that 12-year period I made a conscious decision that poverty would have no place in my life. I'm telling you right now, I didn't choose to be here, and you didn't choose to be here. What's the bottom line, baby girl? The bottom line, you were chosen. You were chosen by your Creator at this place and time. And you don't have to answer my question, but sooner or later you're going to answer it to somebody. When it is all said and done, what will all this say about you? When you look back on your life, when you take your final breath and no one gets out of this life alive, when you look back over the events of life, can you give me the 5 great events of your life? What have you been chosen? What have you been sent here to do? I don't tell everybody you gotta be an entrepreneur, you gotta be a millionaire. No, I want you fulfilled. Which brings up the 4th law. What are your unique gifts? What are your unique gifts? What is your area of excellence? Do you even know your area of excellence? What do you do better than anybody else? 3 questions you gotta ask yourself about your area of excellence. Number 1, what do you love to do? What do you have a passion for? What can you throw your whole heart and soul into? Question number 2, what would you do for free? If no one paid you a dime, gave you financial reward for your efforts, what would you do for free? Because when you're doing what you love to do, when you would do it for free, your work is your play. And when your work is your play, you'll never work a day in your life. You go to Washington, D.C., and you knock on the door to the Commerce Department, and they will give you 33,000 different SIC codes. Dr. Kimbro, what the hell is an SIC code? 33,000 different trades, different vocations, different job titles. From being a rocket scientist to flipping hamburgers at Burger King, and you can't tell me one that you love to do? Question number 3, what is your area of unfair competitive advantage? Now you look at me, I look back at my career. 50 million different things I can do in my life, but number 1, I know I can write. Number 2, I know I can teach. Every year, every professor at Clark Atlanta is graded by students on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 is poor, 5 is outstanding. I've been there since 1992. I have yet to be graded less than 4.92. So number 1, I know I can write. Number 2, I know I can teach. Number 3, I know I can communicate effectively. I'd be a fool not to exploit that. So what is your area of excellence? Your Creator does not waste time. You're not in this world to set it right. No, damn it, you're in this world to see it right. Jesus, where in the world have you been? Don't you know people have been looking for you? You've been absent for 3 days. You had people worried. And what was his response? Worried? Me? Absent 3 days? Should have known I was about my Father's business. What in the world is your Father's business? Your Father's business is to raise consciousness. Your Father's business is to take in the information. Your Father's business is to be better today than you were yesterday, not superior to anybody else. There is a key to success, and what is the key to success? Information. Take in the information. Growth and development. Growth and development. Oh ye hypocrite. You can discern the face of the sky, but you know the sign of the times. In other words, you don't like your life when you created it. Dr. Kimbro, how in the world did I create it? Change your thoughts. Change your thoughts. Everything occurs to you twice in life. First the inner, then the outer. First the thought, then the thing. First the mental, and then the physical. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So what do you think? We got some brothers in here tomorrow's Father's Day. Man, I don't mean to get up in your Kool-Aid, but I would be remiss if I didn't say it. All we need are a few good brothers. That's all we need. Don't need a whole bunch. Just a few good brothers. Look at your Lord and Savior. Everything that we enjoy about spirituality. Because of one man? Yeah, I know he had 7,000 followers. I know he coached 50. I know he mentored 12. But the day he took his final breath, only 3 were there to see it. It doesn't take many, just a handful. Few good brothers. Well, like I said, I tell my men about Clark Atlanta, I said, you took all the black men who are currently incarcerated right now at a federal maximum security facility. I did not say jail. You got what, 26 maximum security from Attica in New York to Sing Sing, out in San Quentin? You got one right there in Atlanta. Lord have mercy, if you knew how many times I've been in there speaking to them. But if you took all the black males right now who are currently incarcerated at a maximum security facility and you confined them to one central location, that central location would constitute the 12th largest city in the nation. Larger than Memphis, larger than Charlotte, larger than Las Vegas, larger than San Francisco, larger than Oakland and Miami combined. There's a footstool that we have. A sheet of music that is a race we have got to play off of, and we can't deviate for the next 20 years. When Martin Luther King sat at the footsteps of the Lincoln Memorial and gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, August 28th, 1963, less than one out of 20 African Americans were on welfare. You know what it is today? 1 out of 5. There's a sheet of music that we gotta flip the script. We gotta get with the game plan. Number 1, wealth creation. Number 2, entrepreneurship. And number 3, restoration of the black man. That is it. We can't deviate. Years ago, I had an interview with Andy Young. Here's a man who walked side by side, arm in arm, hand in hand with Martin Luther King. You know what he told me almost 7 years ago? He said, when me and Dr. King, we integrated the lunch counter, but we failed to integrate the dollar. And I said, Mr. Ambassador, how does anybody integrate the dollar? He said, well, somebody's got to come up with the trades, the keys, and the qualities of competing effectively in a capitalistic economy. And then he told me something that drove me to my knees. He said, the Montgomery bus boycott really wasn't about sitting in front of the bus. I said, Mr. Ambassador, obviously that is one email, one memo my race did not receive. You got civil rights organizations out here today that still believes it's about sitting in the front of the bus. John Johnson didn't tell me that. You go read the first 3 pages of the Wealth Choice, and what did John Johnson tell me? John Johnson, founder of every magazine, he said we can eat what we want to eat, sleep what we want to sleep, live what we want to live, send our kids to the finest schools. The problem is we can't afford to. Until you are free economically, you will never be free personally. So there you are. Number 1 is knowledge. Number 2, decide. Number 3, believe in yourself when no one else will. Gotta get out of here. Oh yeah, you're gonna be tested. But if you knew who walks beside you every day of your life, you would never doubt or fear again. I asked Tyler Perry, I said, Tyler, how in the world did you go from sleeping in your car in New Orleans, sleeping in your car in Atlanta, Georgia, to building a $145 million production studio? He said, nothing but the grace of God.
Yeah.
I asked David John, I said, David, what was the defining moment in your life? He said, when I had to burn the furniture. I said, my brother, what do you mean burn the furniture? He said, when I finally got financing to launch my FUBU line, I hired all these seamstresses and they showed up at my mother's house with all their equipment. I had no place to put the sewing machines. I said, so what did you do? He He said, I took all the furniture of my mother's house, put it in the backyard, and set it on fire.
Yeah.
See, that's belief. See, you were born with that type of belief. See, you were born with love. Fear is what you learned. There's nothing precocious about your God. Where the hell do you think ideas come from? An idea comes from your creator, knocking on your subconscious, asking you, do you want more out of life? Don't you know the average individual gets 4 ideas a year, any one of which, if you have the guts, the courage, the fortitude to chase your dream, will make you financially independent. They ask me all the time, well, what is the difference between the guy who goes ahead and starts his business than the guy who's overcome by fear? I said, well, the millionaire, because I interviewed these folks, millionaires are overcome by fear too. You got 2 individuals. Here you got a guy, he's in corporate America for 5 years, jumps out of corporate America, gets sick of his job, chases his dream, starts a business. After 1 year, no one is using his product, no one is using his service. He's scared to death, he's behind on his mortgage, he's about to lose his car, he's scared to death of losing his house, so what does he do? He blows off the dust of his resume, throws it back in there, and looks for a job in corporate America. Then you got one of the black millionaires, been in corporate America for 5 years, wants to chase his dream, jumps out there, after a year, no one is using his product, no one is using his service. He's behind on his mortgage, he's about to lose his car, but instead of blowing the dust off his resume, instead of fearing losing his house and losing his car, he fears losing his life. One is afraid of losing the house, the other one is afraid of losing his life. I just can't do that anymore. This is my one shot and I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And I've seen it over and over again. Hell, I was with Kathy Hughes for 2 days. I sat in that radio station, she slept on the floor. She did that for a year in that restroom down at the corner, where she and her son bathed in that restroom and they ate off a hot plate. Can you say billionaire? And damn it, shame on you, Black America, shame on you. What that sister did. And I have yet to see her being profiled on TV. Come to my house, sit in my study in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll give you the remote to my flat screen. Cut it on. And you might find Bill Gates being interviewed. You might find Warren Buffett being interviewed. You might find Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn. Chad Hurley of YouTube. But when's the last time you've seen one of your wealth creators being interviewed? You're the only race that does not put your wealth creators on a pedestal. And I'm gonna tell you who has a big problem with that, and that's Malcolm Gladwell. In case you haven't read Malcolm Gladwell, shame on you, you're already behind. Keep your job because you will need it. He wrote Blink, he wrote Tipping Point. Malcolm Gladwell was on a TV being interviewed. And before they wrapped up the interview, the host said, Malcolm, is there any trends out there that have you concerned? That have you really focused, like problems out there you'd like to solve? And he stroked his face and he says, yes, before we wrap up. He said, please tell my viewers, what is it? He says, I'm concerned about the hundreds of thousands of black school children. Then he changed it to millions. He said, I'm concerned about the millions of black school children who live in communities and go to school every day and never see a black man in a suit and tie.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you the same thing Ben Carson told me years ago. What thou seest, that thou beest. Be very particular who you associate with. Hang around 9 broke people, sooner or later you're gonna be number 10. You be very particular. So there you are. Focus on unique gifts. Number 5, please go serve somebody. Service is the price you pay for the space that you occupy. I don't care if you're homeless and you standing on a street corner with a cardboard sign, I will work for food. You got the same opportunity of Bill Gates. What the hell do we know about Bill Gates? 54 billion, do the calculus. That's $67,000 a second. You got the same opportunity of Bill Gates. That's Kimbro. You gotta be kidding me. How can you say that? Because anybody can wow the customer. Anybody can do more than what is expected, more than what is required. Anybody can go the extra mile. Anybody can make the eyeballs move. 21 different ways to market or sell a product or service. Don't violate the number one law of marketing. What is the number one law of marketing? Make my eyeballs move. 21 different ways you can do that. Number one is word of mouth. Number two, handing out flyers. Number 21 is internet. Right now, there are more than 700 million websites across the globe. You got 240 million right here in the United States. But look, damn it, you don't have a single website geared toward Black America for the positive, spiritual, emotional, and professional uplift of Black America. What is your number one website? What is it? Hiphopstar.com, hip-hop, whatever that is.
Wow.
Rap shit on steroids. BET 40 years ago. Booty shaking to the max. That's your number one website, 1 million hits per day, while the rest of the world is looking at TED Talks. I said enough.
No, you didn't.
Somebody said it couldn't be done, but he with the chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he were, he did it. Started to sing as he tackled the thing. That couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, you'll never do that, at least no one ever has done it. He took off his coat and he took off his hat. The first thing we know, he would done it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin without any doubting or quitting. He started to sing as he tackled the thing. That couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands that said it cannot be done. There are thousands of prophecy failure. There are thousands ready to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But with the lift of your chin and a bit of your grin, just take off your coat and go to it. You started to sing as you tackle the thing. There's no financial deficit in this country. There's a spiritual deficit. Everybody talk about the next generation over there, this and that, pants are slagging, what in the world do you expect? You let these experts we gonna take prayer out of school. If you ain't on crack you need to be, how the hell can you take prayer out of anything? You blindfold me and I'll envision a prayer. Put a sock in my mouth, put some duct tape over my mouth, and I'll hum a prayer. Go out there and get a rock, get a stick, knock me unconscious, I'll dream a prayer. As a matter of fact, I'm praying right now. Our Father who art in heaven.
Yeah.
Spit in his face, I'll show you Marcus Garvey. Slam the school door in the face, she becomes Mary the Cloud of Philly. Write him off as another fatherless black male, I'll show you Ben Carson. Make him shine your shoes, turns out to be James Brown. Disobey his orders, I'll show you Colin Powell. Blind him, he becomes Stevie Wonder. Rape her, I'll show you Maya Angelou. Tell her she can't lead, she becomes Michelle Obama. Tell her she can't write, show you Maya Angelou, Toni Morris. Throw him in a prison cell. You got two choices. You got Nelson Mandela, you got Malcolm X. Deny him adequate startup capital. And all the thousands that I interviewed and surveyed, all of them started off at zero. Don Stewart, one of your billionaires, he was $2 million in debt before the tide turned in his favor. But the bottom line, what did Mary tell Martha? He is able.
All right.
Sir, with the prophetic
Hey,
word.
Jerry.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jay, all the way from Hawaii.
Sir, with how prophetic you were to us today, speaking to us as adults, I gotta ask the question, what do you say to black teenagers?
Tell them, number one, tell them you love them. My colleagues tell me all the time, how can you tell your students that you love them? We won't say, I hate you. You can't give it till you own it, and I don't own hate. I don't own hate. No, 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 no. What are the three toughest things in the world to do? Number one, return love for hate. Return love for hate. All you gotta do is look at Nelson Mandela, look at Malcolm X, Look at Gandhi, they changed the world and none of them had an army. All they did is give love for hate. What in the world do you know about Martin Luther King? Here's a man, 5'7", 177 pounds. Number one, he didn't finish high school. He entered Morehouse at age 15. He skipped 11th grade. I mean, what else do we know? First of all, his name is not Martin. His name was Michael. His father had his name changed to Martin on a family vacation in Germany to honor the German theologian Martin Luther. Number two, got up the same time of day, every day, 6:15 in the morning, ate the same breakfast. Robert, you're gonna be mad at him. Coffee and orange juice. The first hour of the day, prayer and devotion. He had 200 books in his study. Prayer, the man lived in the moment. Dr. K, what in the world are you talking about living in the moment? What's the first thing that I do when I get up in the morning? Prayer and devotion. I go down to my study, I get centered, I give my first 5 or 10 minutes of the day to my Creator, smoothed out the bumps, then I read my prayer and devotion. What's the last thing I do before this head hits the pillow?
Prayer and devotion?
Yeah. I end the day with my closing prayer, so I live my life between two prayers. What else do we know about Martin Luther King? 3 times his house was firebombed. And each time his wife and 4 kids were in that house. You didn't even know Martin Luther King owned a gun, did you? Yeah, he owned a gun until he came to the realization, man, I'm the father of nonviolence, threw it away. 1963, gave more than 300 speeches, traveled more than 300,000 miles to give 300 speeches, always flew first class. Dr. King, yeah, he's got to fly first class. No, he didn't fly first class because of his ego, because he was narcissistic. The reason why he always flew first class was he got to the airport, when he got to the terminal, when he got to the gate, when the other passengers on that flight saw who was going to be on that plane with them, no one wanted to sit next to him. Some of them called the pilot, the flight attendants out, where can we put him that he will park? I'll throw him on the first class. Never earned more than $10,000 over the course of his life. Now my hotshot know-it-all NBA student, Dr. Kimbro, he did win the Nobel Prize, and with that came a cash windfall. I said, yeah. But he gave every dime back to the movement except $10,000. He had to borrow $10,000 from his father-in-law to pay his taxes. Return love for hate. The one thing that I never let my students pass on. First day of my class, I said, everybody pull out a sheet of paper and you write the number 30 on that sheet of paper, and I want you to scotch paper to your mirror and look at it every day. Look at that number 30, day in and day out. What is so significant about the number 30? Over the course of his adult life, he averaged minimum 30 racial prank-filled phone calls per day. Phone ring, nigga, I know it, click. Phone ring, nigga, I'm gonna kill you, click. Phone ring, nigga, I'm gonna kill your parents, click. And you can't reach your goals. And you can't be bigger than what you are. And you can't make a difference. And you can't say, damn it, enough is enough. If any other race was burdened with half of their young males finishing high school, they'd be picketing in the street right now. If that happened to Jewish males, Asian males, Irish, Polish, Catholic, you couldn't even walk down the thoroughfares right now and say, no, we ain't going out like this. But us, business as usual. Every 92 seconds of the day, a black child born to a teen mother. Every 90 seconds of the day, a black child born to a teen mother who will never finish high school. Every 90 seconds of the day, black male suspended. Every 4 minutes of the day, black male convicted of a violent crime. Every 40 minutes of the day, a black male dies. And no one says a thing. No one says a thing. Adios, we gotta go.
Dennis Kimbro, get nominated here. We're gonna give away the tab real quick. Robert, will you just